Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing on the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This is, it's just bats. Bats everywhere, guys. Yeah, this isn't all the bats. There's so many bats. This is Aristodemos versus Reginald Puggington. So, both very good players. It's going to be a very tense match. It comes down to the wire. It's so good. So, here, four bats. There's four bats. Also a giant bat, there's a Terrorgeist here too. And Lamian Vampire Lord. Rarely see the Lamian, but I think she's brilliant here. She's got a load of slows and speed buffs, which are really good. Also lowering melee attack, very nice. And because it's vampire counts against Coast, the Terrorgeist beats the other Terrorgeist. Right, that's how that works. It has, I think, like 10 less melee attack, but it has 35 bonus versus large, so the Terrorgeist is much better than the Death Shriek Terrorgeist in the sort of, you know, against each other. Whereas, I guess the other Terrorgeist is just more general purpose, so better against other things. But anyway. Also, there is a Vargulf, so there's some strong stuff on the ground here. You can see there is a unit of Sternsmen, plenty of Skeleton Warriors and Grave Guards, Gun Spearmen, some Crypt Ghouls on the edges, and the Crypt Ghouls will hack through the zombies pretty quickly, and that poison is certainly nice too, so they can get around into the guns very quickly, and this front line will just cleave through everything. And with all silver shields, they will withstand. Oh well, okay, not all silver shields, but Skeleton Warriors are so cheap. Who cares if they get shot? They're not worth the ammo. So they will help against all the guns. And yeah, just a lovely army. This lovely army. Now his opponent's army: bats. 3 bats, two bats carrying zombies. So 2 deck droppers and 3 bats. And also, Luther Harkon on a Terrorgeist. Harkon is the perfect pick here because the Lord is always a spellcaster. So having a load of brilliant abilities for screwing over Lords, well, screwing over spellcasters rather, is just going to screw over the Lord. So that is brilliant. Really good to have. Also, the Terrorgeist. So the Terrorgeist, like I said, isn't going to beat out the other Terrorgeist, but it's still good to have more armor piercing. He's going to do fine, you know, extra damage against any Lord in the air. So, pretty cool. Or on the ground, you know, if he had the air superiority, it would still work out great. So, in the back, you can see that he does have Law of Vampires too, so they both have Invocation of Heck. It's just that one has zombies that come out the ground, and one has zombies that come out of an ocean explosion, which is now what it's called. Okay, that is canon. Okay? I've decided that is canon. It is the ocean explosion, rather than raising the dead out of the ground. So, here. Just zombies, right? Just some cheap crap here, really. Some with polearms, so again, yeah, loaded with polearms. They got good melee defense for something so cheap, big health pools, and they can keep just a lot of cavalry and things wrapped up, or even just infantry, just because they have so much health, they'll last for a long time. And there are a couple of gunnery mobs, not with armor piercing, but some guns, and I'd rather be an air force with gun support than an air force without, so it's going to be very difficult for Aristodemos here to make sure he can really capitalize and get the right things in the right places to avoid having all the guns and the deck droppers with guns aiding in all the aerial combat. Also, there's Mournguls. So the Mournguls will do great against all the Graveguard and things. That's great insurance against any Graveguard or anything that's just going to chew through, you know, his land forces, basically. But the Vargulf will have something to say about that. So that's something. So, speeding things up, you can see some shots being fired already. I mean, the fact that Harkon can shoot while moving, it's amazing. Because if you don't want to fight him, he's just going to chase you, and he'll be doing damage to you just because he's shooting you in the back. So, Harkon is brilliant there. So, yep, getting some damage into that Terrorgeist already. And that's a real problem. The longer you delay the engagement, the more Harkon is going to do to you. And that's a real pity. It makes it very difficult here. So you can see he is just trying to flank around, you know, keep everything away from his troops. But you can see the vampire counts are trying to move around to the other side. So they both picked a flank. Land forces. I mean, look at this. Look at all this. It's crazy. I love it. I absolutely love it. So anyway, things are starting to move in. The Mournguls will do great. I mean, Skeleton Warriors will just die in seconds. And Graveguard will struggle. They will struggle against the Mournguls. So got to be careful there. So units are trying to probe around the outside, and of course the Vargulf can't lend us any support in the sky, so what does Aristodemos do? He gets on land. This is really crafty. Just get all of your flying forces to attack ground targets, and it means that the other air force that would have the gun support is having to land too, and it means the Vargulf can lend some support to all the Terrorgeist, the Lamian, everything. You know, you can start diving down, get all the bats in here, don't try and fight the other bats in the air because the guns will help, so go straight for the guns, force the other things to land where you have the land superiority, you've got the better land forces, so make everything land. And this is absolute textbook. It's brilliant. Some bats are being used to get on top of these deck droppers, which is definitely worthwhile, because the deck droppers are going to get value from their guns, not from the bats. So here, huge amount of damage landing in here. Deathstreak Terrorgeist has landed, taking some damage. Seduction has been used on these units, lowering melee attack of everything in this huge blob. And this is a huge blob. So that's pretty great, and is lowering speed as well. Invocation of Heck has been used on the entire blob though, which is a bit of a pity. There's an ocean explosion, so some zombie gunnery mobs have been summoned because the others are wrapped up. So let's get the other gunnery mobs in, start shooting, but bats intercept. So all the guns are being stopped here, which is really good, and very little damage to all of this air force. So that is really good to see. Deck droppers being accosted a little bit, but they're doing okay. Morngulls, they're doing some damage to that infantry. They've charged in here as well by the looks of it. It's only 19 kills so far, and they are actually taking quite a bit of damage. And I think that's because they're not really in a proper target. They're running up and down a lot. They don't have a huge amount of support, so they can't really get that damage in. So they are struggling, those Mongols. So that's pretty bad for them, honestly. That's pretty bad for them. That's vital for getting rid of all these Graveguard, which a lot of them haven't even engaged the fight yet. You can see these guys are waiting for something to come in so they can pounce. So that's wonderful. Now Crypt Ghouls charging around the back, but these Crypt Ghouls are struggling a bit because that Vampire Fleet Captain was helping in that fight. Honestly, this is just a mess right now. This is just a mess. So, a load of bats on the ground, and over here you can see the Terrorgeist, the Vargulf, and the Lamian Vampire Lord all landed down here, but the Lamian Vampire Lord has been Hornswoggled, and Slan Gold is reducing that power recharge rate. And that's the thing, you know, the Lamian Vampire, much better caster than the Vampire Fleet Captain, but with Slan Gold and Harkon's other abilities ruining her ability to cast magic, it suddenly means that the Law of Vampires is stronger for the coast than the Counts. So that Fleet Captain has to go. But right now, Luther Harkon, enfeebling foe on him, because the Lamian Vampire Lord does have mixed abilities there. She does get some shadow magic, so that's really, really cool to see. So Luther Harkon took quite a bit of damage there, but a lot of things are starting to waver here. They don't have the best leadership surrounded by a billion things, and there's so many bats in the air, it's so hard to tell what's happening. It really is. But anyway, Invocation of Heck being used to get the Vampire Lord back in action. Terrorgeist still fairly unhurt. Same with the Vargulf, they're able to pour in, and you can see the infantry is just overwhelming. The Count's infantry is overwhelming the Coast infantry, which is pretty great, but you can see these Mongols are still going, 69 kills on them now, and a lot of that will be Graveguard. So they are putting in some work. So here you can see the Vargulf is running in, but the deck droppers are shooting at him, and that really sucks. Over here, Terrorgeist is really just stuck in this mess. Let's do this so you can see the Air Force better. So, Terrorgeist is on his own against... Actually, there are some bats. There are some fell bats, but he's against a lot of other bats, and also Harkon, which is a bit of a problem. But Terrorgeist does have the anti-large, and it looks like a breath attack coming in. Oh, yeah, the hell whittle out some of the bats, I think. Not the best hit for the Lamian Vampire Lord, but she got some work done, but she is pretty injured, and that's a pity. So now the Terrorgeist has landed, knowing that Harkon would follow, and it means that the Lamian Lord can run in too. She has been power siphoned, so another just really sucky ability there from Harkon, but Seduction has been used. So all this stuff is crippled. The Terrorgeist can keep chasing. You see the Mongols, without their melee attack, they are getting whittled down very, very fast here, which is very good. And now the Vargulf is running in here, trying to block in Harkon, who does have that melee attack reduction. So it won't be any easier to hit him, but he can't fight back. He has no choice but to run, but with it being a slow as well as a melee attack debuff, it means that you can't get out of the fight or really fight. So it is such a great ability. Absolutely wonderful. Big Invocation to Heck here. Actually, it's not a big one. It wasn't overcast. It was just on her. But look at that. Healing cap really starting to show. Because these deck droppers, they're not the most accurate, but they can't really miss such a giant target. So the Lamian Vampire Lord is suffering horribly. Over here, though, the Mongols are crumbling. And it means all this infantry can just polish off what remains very easily. But Harkon's taking a lot of damage, Lamian Vampire Lord's taking a lot of damage, but the two Terrorgeists are both still holding firm, and the Vargulf is still doing pretty well. But this sod is still alive. Vampire Fleet Captain needs to go. And here it looks like a breath attack coming in, and that is a big chunk of damage on the Lamian Vampire Lord. That is a problem. That is a real problem. Not good. Not good. Deck droppers still fighting, and there are no Fellbats left to bog them down, which is a pity. So here you can see another Invocation of Heck, because this guy's been allowed to live. He needs to die. He really needs to be killed. So here you can see Slangold has been used again, meaning just fewer and fewer spells, and it becomes more and more of a problem. Really, really rough. So she's in a bit of trouble. She'd use lightning reflexes, which will give her an extra speed boost. And now that this Terrorgeist is pushing in here, doing some good work, the Lamian Vampire Lord, another breath attack into the air, trying to do what she can to these bats and Terrorgeists and all sorts of other things. And the Vargolf is starting to finish off this fleet captain. So things are diving in. This fleet captain is finally going to have it. The Terrorgeist and the Vargolf both diving on top of him. La Harkon is running in to try and help. And the Lamian Vampire Lord is coming in too. But another breath attack. Not the best hit, but it did hit those Sternsmen a fair bit. So Terrorgeist trying to chase. And yeah, Harkon's taking some damage here. But the other Terrorgeist has come in for the Lamian Vampire Lord, and Harkon can swivel around and get into the back of her, and with a Hornswoggle, again, less defense and speed. So it's not that she can't fight back, it's that she has kind of no choice but to fight back, even though she's going to take a lot of damage. But that slow as well as the melee defense debuff is crippling, and she's trying to get away. She will inevitably get caught, but as she runs, she is taking damage. So that is really bad. That is really bad. And zombie summon. I mean, is there a reason for that? Maybe. Gets out a bit of healing, I guess, whenever you cast, so I guess there's that. But she's down. Lamian Vampire Lord is down, and the Deathshriek Terrorgeist and Harkon are both still very healthy. Harkon, of course, has the hunger, so when he's in combat, he will heal up. So he could actually get quite a bit more healing out of himself there. Seduction was used, but when they're not fighting anything, it doesn't really matter. So again, trying to force the engagement to be on land. That's the best thing to do. If anyone wants to join, you know, the Terrorgeist, that's great. It just means that all the Graveguard will be able to start taking, you know, putting some damage in, which is really good. So you need to keep these guys on the ground to deal with them. But Power Siphon has been used again. I'm not sure why. I guess it stops him using his breath attack for 15 seconds. So that's something. And this Terrorgeist is wavering. He's now crumbling. So he's going to be taking some damage. That is great news. So Terrorgeist taking off to try and cycle back around. Nope, breath attack time. It's breath attack time. So he gets a breath attack. Not the best hit, sadly. Not the best hit. But he needs to land. He needs to land again. Oh god, he can't, can he? So yep, Harkon, all the Air Force got in the air, and there's nothing left on the ground. Which will mean that they will lose leadership, being in the air, but because they're actually fighting something in the air, it won't. It won't sap their leadership, I don't think. Or will it? No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I don't know, I swear it keeps changing, but anyway, whatever. They can happily just fight this Terrorgeist. They can gang up on him. So this Terrorgeist is in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. He's gonna get bullied by everything here. But it looks like Harkon is trying to get some pot shots into the Vargolf. He's used a Hornswoggle, trying to limit his ability to do anything. And the Bats taking a lot of the damage for the Deathshriek Terrorgeist. It means this Terrorgeist isn't able to win. So, happily. So, over here, yeah, Harkon is getting pretty whittled down. The poison of the Crypt Ghouls is going to be vital here to limit his ability to run away, basically. So that's really nice, but still, that Hornswoggle is pretty devastating. You see the other Deathshriek Terrorgeist now charging in, leaving the Bats just to hold that Terrorgeist at bay, because if they can get rid of that Vargolf, then, yeah, they can just bully that Terrorgeist. So he needs to get rid of the Vargolf. You can see here, Crypt Ghouls and Graveguard pushing in. Sternsmen, they're still going to be regenerating, so there's no, you know, Invocation to Heck left, but it doesn't matter to the Sternsmen. They're going to keep regenerating, which is very good. It's why they're such a brilliant unit. Just fantastic. So here, things are trying to pull out. Bats on the ground, try and keep leadership up, while Harkon tries to abscond. So, getting rid of the Bats nice and quickly, because the Bats are a nuisance. It forces the big boys to have to land, and then they can get bullied, which is brilliant. So, Terrorgeist v Terrorgeist. Terrorgeist wins against the Deathshriek. That's how that works. So, he's going to put in some great damage with his anti-large, and Harkon is just going to keep trying to shoot him in the back. Honestly, I think charge in Harkon. Just charge Harkon in. You know, attacked in the rear, that Terrorgeist is going to get hurt pretty badly. And, you know, Harkon still shoots while he's in melee. That's the crazy thing. He will still shoot that gun of his, so he can really put out a lot of damage very quickly. So here, this Terrorgeist is struggling. He's trying to pull away, but there's not much he can do right now. There's not much he can do. He is crumbling, but this Terrorgeist has landed, trying to take a pot shot at the Vargolf, and it did do a good amount of damage. You can see he's got bowled over. So he's trying to get up, but now with this Deathshriek Terrorgeist on the ground, the other Terrorgeist can land. So, they're both attacking this guy. He is now crumbling, which is brilliant, but so is the Terrorgeist. Both Terrorgeists are crumbling. The Vargolf having to do what he can, But the Vargolf one-on-one against Harkon, I don't like his chances. He's going to need this extra unit here. So he's trying to chase the Deathstreak Terrorgeist, make sure it stays crumbled. But now he's spun around. Hornswoggle has been used though, and now the other Terrorgeist is coming in, trying to get a rear charge into Harkon. But it means he's not crumbling anymore, because he's managed to get up again. So that is a pity. So now, trying to get a rear charge into the Terrorgeist with the Deathstreak, and now it's the other Terrorgeist that is crumbling. Vargolf now turning to try and get rid of the Deathstreak Terrorgeist, because he's the easiest target. He's the softest target. If you can get this guy to crumble, then it's 2 versus 1 against Harkon, which is why this is so important. So they're trying to chase him down. Hornswoggle has ward off, which is definitely good news, and the infantry are actually keeping Harkon pretty bogged down here. The poison certainly helps. All the Graveguard, they can hit pretty hard, so Harkon is taking damage. He did get back to his healing cap, and suddenly a big hit there. A big hit, and the other Terror guy's trying to land again. Isn't really doing so well, but now everything's wavering. This is all a bit of a mess, but Harkon is nearly dead. You know, Terrorgeist and the Vargolf both focusing on Harkon. He's suffering very, very badly. So while it seemed like the Deathstreak Terrorgeist was the best target to go for, he was being so precious about the Deathstreak Terrorgeist, he left Harkon there to get pummeled. And sadly, both Terrorgeists are gone. Well, all 3 really. All at once. Aww. Poor things. They didn't want to fight. Anyway, brilliant fight. Brilliant fight. I thought this was fantastic. I mean, the fact that Grand Admiral Thrawn, that's right, it's another one of Aristodemos, pretending to be the Admiral from Star Wars Rebels. Anyway, yeah, just amazing move, just to get all of his Air Force, just to dive down onto everything, you know, wipe out those land forces as quickly as possible, do the damage there. I think one mistake he made, though, is he didn't focus down the fleet captain quick enough. He really needed to get some cycle charging. You know, whenever he dived in with, like, the Terrorgeist and things, it was always against sort of zombie mobs and things, you know, go for that hero, get rid of the healing, because you know yours is going to be limited thanks to Luther Harkon. You don't want to be losing out on your magic and not punish them for having a squishier caster than you. So I think that was one mistake. But other than that, it worked out great. I think this was fantastic. He just had a really good build for dealing with any land forces, and knowing that a lot of the things that can be great against Graveguard, things like Morngulls or Prometheans or anything like that, you know, great for sort of chopping through them nice and quickly. He had the Terrorgeist for, he had the Vargolf, he had the Lamian Vampire Lord, you know, with the great buffs and debuffs. So he had a lot of power there. So if it was a big land force, he still had that covered, you know, and I think that's really good. And the Bat's obviously great for bogging down any, like, handguns, any handgunners that would have done a lot of damage to the Lords, you know. I think this is great. This is a great build. I mean, I think Reginald Puckington's build was really good. Just to go with a full-on Air Force, I think was great. But as soon as Aristodemos was able to land a load of his forces and really start gutting the army, I think that's when things started turning. I think that's when things started turning. I think the Vampire Coast need to be more brazen in getting the bats and things on those expensive units at a distance away from all the guns. I think he really needs to start, you know, you need to be more aggressive there, sadly. But it's tough. It's a tough thing to call because, like I've said several times, Deathstreak Terrorgeist is worse than Terrorgeist. So you can't just throw your Air Force into the other Air Force because they were both massive, but this one has the advantage there. So it's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one. But this was superb. Absolutely wonderfully played by both of these players. And an absolute mess of bats, which apparently I'm a big fan of. So guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.